Stick around for this video while I get into why I think we're headed for the largest wealth gap in history. Have you ever heard the term that the rich get richer? Well, I think that's really true. I do. But before I get into it, do me a favor. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, make some comments and tell me why you think I'm right, where you think I'm wrong, or what you find in the economy going on right now. So, unlike a lot of the other YouTube creators on here, I don't really see a big economy crash coming. What I see going on is the wealth gap getting bigger and bigger. And I'm not sure I see a great solution to it between what's going on with the Fed, between what's going on with jobs, and what's going on with inflation. I think that the Fed is in a really tough position right now. That, along with job transformation and globalization, is really creating an interesting time right now that's going to be very tough to get out of. And I think what we're going to see is this huge wealth gap get bigger and bigger more than an economic collapse. While I agree with a lot of the rhetoric out there about the housing becoming less affordable and other things as well, I don't really know that I see that changing a whole lot. I think the Fed's going to end up having to cut rates next year because the inflation is slowing down and naturally they'll be able to. But the demand is actually still on the sidelines from what I see. And when the rates come down, I picture the buyers for the housing market to come back into the market, pushing the prices up again further than what people expect. And I don't know that that causes inflation on its own because it seems like everywhere else things have kind of settled down from where they were. When I go to the grocery store now, they're doing tons of sales. I don't remember that being the case last year. I talked to a friend, and I'll use soda as an example, as stupid as it sounds, but a 12 pack of soda went to $7.99 or $8.99 for a 12 pack. Well, we stopped buying soda. Now they're doing all sorts of sales where you can buy four of them for $15, and the prices have come down pretty reasonably, where we're getting soda again. Now you have to buy four of them instead of one, but that wasn't going on a year ago. And I see that across the board. They're doing steaks on sale, or chicken goes on sale, or things are going on sale where when I think back, that wasn't the case. And to me, that's an indication of more of a normal economy and things settling down and getting back into stride. I did a video yesterday about why I think right now is the best time to buy a home. And the reason is, and I won't go into it too in depth, is the sellers on the market right now, because this is traditionally a slow time, are getting pretty nervous because their homes haven't sold quickly. Well, we're going into the holidays. The buyers get busy with Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, and whatever else we have going on, and things tend to sit longer. So, with all the scary news in the economy and everything else, it's softening up the pricing. But I've noticed that that's only at certain price points. I also have people selling homes in 3 days still, or trying to buy homes that they go out and the inventory disappears and it lists for a day and it's gone. Um, that being said, I still think we're seeing a softening period that when the Fed goes to cut rates next year, well, that's going to catch the market and you're going to see it start going back up, but not in the dramatic fashion that it was, more of a natural what real estate should do. So, why is this going to create the largest wealth gap? Well, where I see the problem is the Fed spent a ton when they bought the rates down at zero and they bought lots of treasuries. They took on like 8 or 9 trillion in debt. They've been able to sell off about a trillion of it or so, and they're a little bit below 8 trillion last I looked. But as the economy slows, I think they're going to be caught in a position where they might have to do QE again and start buying bonds to support the economy. They're going to have to be the backstop. This is going to create more debt for the Fed. If we then have to start printing dollars, that's going to cause an interesting form of inflation because I don't know that how it's going to play out. Like they're going to have to print more money just to pay off the debt that they owe more than anything else. It's going to be a governmental inflation and not necessarily going through to the public with the inflation on our end, but by printing the dollars and making the dollars worth less money, that could cause things to get even more expensive. and them not be in the position to really raise rates the same way because the economy won't be so busy and overheated this time. As that inflation goes through the economy, the wealthy are going to be the ones that can afford to go through it, while the rest are going to really struggle. And if they print more dollars, the value of things are going to go up. Like that's just a natural transition of what happens. So as you see home prices and stock market and car prices and things get more and more expensive when people are not making more and they're struggling more, what I think you end up seeing is those that already have things and are able to keep up and afford them are just going to get in a better and better situation. The or worse, depending on how you look at it, because just by having more doesn't really mean they're better. It just means they're more secure with where they are. Now, the problem is once people get ahead, so to speak. So let's say you've been working and you've been saving and getting to the position where you have enough money that that money starts driving money to cover your bills, and you actually now get to the point that you've saved so much that your savings start to make enough to pay your bills. Now let's push it a little further where you make a little bit more. Once you hit that tipping point, you start escalating at a parabolic level past all of those trying to get to that point. That's where I see the wealth gap becoming a bigger and bigger problem. Like, think of it as a monopoly game. As a person gets ahead, they get more and more ahead because the person behind just falls further and further behind as well. I don't really see a great solution to that without putting implementation in place that I actually would disagree with. I don't want to punish people for doing well. But if you go to the extreme and you look at a Jeff Bezos or a Mark Zuckerberg or some of these ones that have so much, the issue is that what they have makes so much more on top of what they're making anyway that it just escalates and escalates and escalates and pushes further and further away where they can accumulate more of the board. If you think about monopoly, they can just take more and more of it. Now, add in that technology and the ability to grow jobs using computers, and now we're getting into robots and automatic things that are squeezing people out of the jobs and making pay less. They can pay people less as the machines can do more of the jobs, and they actually need less employees, especially as you watch AI. Depending on how far you want to take it, AI could really creep into the white collar jobs as well and limit how many people you need for those jobs. I mean, that look at the strike in Hollywood, writers and things like that. All of a sudden, a director might be able to write the script by just plugging into something similar to a Chat GPT with his concept. Maybe it'll get to the point that it can help with the design in the studios and really doing the whole movie, and it can create commercials. Now you transpire that or you push it into other jobs as well. You start getting into accounting, or you start getting into law, and you start getting into finance, and the machines can really do a lot of these jobs and automate it. I saw a thing where Jeff Bezos's goal is to have no employees at some point because that'll increase his earnings or his profits so much. That's a wonderful thing and a terrible thing all at the same time, because then what do the people do? You add into that work from home and globalization, and now you're able to hire people who live in other countries who don't make as much as people in the US as well to save money, because capitalism just pushes the way that capitalism does. I know these are really far out concepts and it goes a little extreme, and I don't see that happening next week. But I do think that's what we're seeing more right now than a big recession coming. I think that the people that are getting scared and not investing are going to put themselves in a worse and worse situation. Now, you need to do your own research. Don't listen to me, really, just some idiot on YouTube giving my ideas. Hopefully, I'll post that little idiot guy. I think it's kind of funny. But to be fair, like, as that continues, if everybody scares themselves into non-growing products, whether that's gold or treasuries or just putting it in the bank and all of these things that are fear-based investments, as opposed to trying to put into stocks or housing or I mean, I dare to say crypto because I hate to suggest it because the ups and downs are so extreme. But even collectibles and things that tend to go up in value as the economy goes up, I think you're doing yourselves a real disservice because I think you'll fall further and further behind from the people that have these things already. I picture the stock market continuing to get stronger, even if the economy slows down. I think it'll be an interesting dynamic in the news because the news will talk about the bad economy and things slowing, but earnings will be continuing to increase on either level. Either things will slow down and the inflation will pick up, or things will catch themselves and these companies will get busier. I don't know that it matters which way the economies go. The corporations that have grown learn to weather those storms and adjust for it. Maybe they sell less items at a higher margin, or they're able to cut staff because they can automate things. I can't tell you how often I go to a different store, whether it's the grocery store or this or that, and they do self checkout. I mean, I was really annoyed. I had to return something to Amazon, and they've created these self return stations if you go to Whole Foods. My bigger complaints are where they put it, and then it's not easy to figure out. So even though there wasn't a huge line, it took a really long time to get through it. But I imagine in time they'll get that better and better, and people will just get used to doing it themselves. They'll need less employees. They'll cut their costs. And again, the wealthy end will get wealthier because the top end of those companies will thrive, and then the working class and everyone else will do worse and worse. So when I'm seeing the comments about it's becoming less affordable and there's going to be a big collapse and everything else, I agree with the end of it that it's becoming less affordable. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to collapse because of it, and I don't think it's going to get into a situation where now it becomes more affordable for people. I think you're going to see more multi generational homes. I think you're going to have to see people getting together and share spaces. And unfortunately, I think the really wealthy, and I mean the really wealthy, are going to get even more wealthy and be able to collect more properties, more percentages of stocks, and everything else. Um, like I said, I don't know that I have a great solution for it, but my best recommendation is don't scare yourselves out of the market. Don't bite off more than you can chew and run the risk of, if I'm wrong, that the market collapses and you can't afford whatever it is you picked up, whether that's a house or buying too much stock and buying it on margin or whatever else. But make sure to try to keep up and save. 80% of millionaires are self-made. They've done it by savings and just putting away and being really disciplined. In fact, it's really interesting when I took a look and saw what jobs are associated with that as well. I mean, teachers made it onto the list, and accountants and lawyers, and there's some things you would expect like investment bankers, but for the most part, it isn't people who just inherited it from family. It's people who stick to a good discipline and continue to put away and continue to save, which is my underlying comments in all of the videos that I provide. What I really want people to do is do their best to save for the future because you never know what's coming around the corner, and it just puts you in a better position than living paycheck to paycheck. And then look at yourselves a little bit as to where you might be spending, where you could save. Because, $50 here and there, $20 here and there. I watched a guy that he was excited to be adding on to his stock position because he bought one share of a company at $52. These companies, the portfolio companies, whether it's E-Trade or SoFi, which I'll probably put a couple links in the description where you can get some free money if you use SoFi. I use them as well, but they offer free trading. Well, when I was younger, my God, I remember buying 100 shares of a company and the broker charged $400 and change. What a difference now between them. So between the globalization, the government policies, the technology, and the job market transformation, it's just hard for me to see how you stop these things from happening. The companies and the companies in particular are better about being able to shrink down their workforce and save money on that end. The technology gives them ability to be able to handle more tasks with less people, and then between the work from home, they can outsource to different countries, and even if it's not different countries, it's different areas. I don't really see that slowing down or changing. If anything, I see it speeding up, and those who already own a home are in a good position, or those who already own stocks or have savings or good positions, And I think as that plays out, you'll see the value of those things go up, not come down. Anyway, do me a favor. Don't forget, I know I said it in the beginning. I'm thrilled for those of you who've lasted this long, but don't forget to subscribe, give a thumbs up and like, make your comments. I mean, I do like going back and forth. I get excited to look at it. I can't tell you how excited I am that I've been seeing the channel grow. I'm seeing people watch the videos. Super cool, and I really appreciate it. So, um, I think I forgot to mention today is Saturday, November 16th. I hope you're all having a good weekend and have a great tomorrow. Bye bye.